everybody. Welcome to Carpe Dime, a podcast about personal finance and everyday life. I'm Dusty Simmons.
And I'm Jamie Davidson. We're with Financial Center First Credit Union. Thanks for listening to us today. Sit back, relax. We're going to talk about a few things, hopefully bring a few laughs, but also touch on some really important points when it comes to your finances.
Absolutely. Well, I hate to say it, but it's probably been about a month ago that we were sitting here talking about the COVID situation and that things were coming and what to do in the situation and how to prepare. And darn it, if we're not here like 5-6 weeks later
Still
and we're in the same situation.
Still doing it.
So we're sitting 6 feet apart.
America's hanging tough out there, though, guys.
Social distancing.
I want to give a shout out to all the grocery workers and all the restaurant people. Thank you for...
And all the bank tellers out there.
And especially all the tellers on the line, all the frontline people.
Yeah, so, we're still working as an essential worker to serve you all. So as we talk about where COVID's at right now, our advice from a few weeks ago, it's still good advice, but it takes a little bit more of a slant as we start thinking about the situation that the economy may be in when this whole thing is over. Let's talk a little bit about what we're hearing.
Well, right now we're seeing the numbers coming in for unemployment. A lot of people are being unemployed right now. The hope there is that once we sort of let up on this social distancing, that a lot of people get back to work. But the problem is we don't know. That's the fear factor right now, right? The government's sending out stimulus checks, which is a good thing.
Which is great.
It can help, but for how long is the question. And that's where we started, I guess, 6 weeks ago. We weren't really sure, and we're still in that place. Mm-hmm. But there are still some things we can continue to do to make sure our financial lives, they're going to be impacted, but hopefully not as impacted as much.
Right. So, we were talking, I think the last time a little bit about your emergency savings and your credit score and those things. And we're going to spend a lot more time today talking about the importance of your credit score and why it's such an integral part of your life during a recession, which is something we may be going into here in the next couple of months.
Not only during this time of, we're unease, but if we do go into a recession, it's very important that this is one factor that you're trying to control pretty well, because if you do, it's going to help you get through that hard time a lot easier than if you don't. So, we're going to talk about that credit score and why it is so important. For many years, people have always wondered about their credit score, and they brag about their credit score. We see it all over the TV, all over the radio, why you should have a high credit score. We have all these different places that you can go. All the credit card companies now let you look at your credit score. You got Credit Karma out there. And
looking for ways to save on your energy bills? AES Indiana has you covered. From smart thermostats to home energy assessments, we offer simple solutions to keep your home comfortable and your costs down. AES can help you save money and energy with kits, tips, rebates, and more. Visit aesindiana.com/ways to save to learn more about how we can help you save money. AES Indiana, helping you discover real ways to save.
When is the right time to sell a stock? How do you protect against inflation? Financial decisions can be tricky. Your cognitive and emotional biases can lead you astray. Financial Decoder, an original podcast from Charles Schwab, can help. Listen at schwab.com/financial decoder.
A couple months ago, that was really cool. Wow, look, I can see my credit score. But it's even more so important now to know what your credit score is going into this and then coming out.
I know a credit score is an important thing to know about, but why does it make so much more of a difference in an economic downturn?
Well, we've all been paying attention to our credit score a lot more in the last couple of years. You've got all these groups out there, all the credit card companies. You've got Credit Karma. You've got all these different companies that are showing your credit score. And the reason is because you want to have a good credit score. Well, a good credit score is important for many reasons. Number one is it's going to dictate whether or not you receive a loan when you go apply for a loan. So once we get out of this coronavirus thing and you need a loan, like a bridge loan, to pay bills for a couple months, they're going to look at that score still. Well, right now, that score is still either going up or going down during this. So we're going to talk about why it's important to maintain it or help the score go up.
So can I ask a quick question? Is whether or not I'm employed have any sort of impact on my credit score?
Being employed will not have an impact on your credit score. It will have an impact on whether or not you are approved for the loan, because underwriters are going to look to see if you've been employed.
Right.
Now, here's what we did learn after 2008. We learned that there was a little bit of leeway there because so many people went through that. And that's what we're seeing right now. So many people are being laid off. People are going to look more back at your history and what you've done in the past. They can't really look at what's been going on the last 6 weeks, the last 8 weeks. It's more of a long approach at that long picture. So that's important. It's also going to determine what the rate is on that loan. People that have low credit scores can get loans, but the interest rate on those loans are going to be extremely high. And over the long run, that's going to cost you a lot of money. So it's important that you're working on that credit score even now because it will affect you in the long run.
So what is it considered a good, quote unquote, good credit score?
Well, credit scores range anywhere from 350 up to the mid 800s. You don't see a lot of mid 800s, but they're out there. You don't see a lot of 350s, but they're out there. The average American's probably in the high 600s to the mid 700s. So that's what at a credit union, that's what we look at. That's the majority of our loans are done sort of the high 6s to the mid 700s. So I always act like it's like a grading scale. So if you're in the high 7s, you're an A+ student. When you get below that 600, you're sort of that D- F student. So you really want to make sure you're doing the right things.
Oh, wow. So D to A is literally only about 100 points spread.
To an extent, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you're not above 600, you need to really work to get there because
right.
That's where the grading scale starts.
That's where it sort of starts, and that's where that happens.
So, Jamie, what I'm hearing you say is the reason that maintaining your credit score is so important during the coronavirus time frame is that it really determines, number one, if someone's going to give you a loan based on your score and what your interest rate would be on that loan if you need it as you get through unemployment or any other situation that you're in where you need some bridge money.
That's correct. And what's really important is what we're doing now is going to have an effect on us 3 to 6 months from now, which a lot of times we don't think that way.
Right.
So by maintaining our credit score during this time of the coronavirus, we're able to come out of this with our credit score intact so we can then move along with our lives.
So we've talked a little bit about what makes a good credit score or where the credit score range comes in. Mm-hmm. And I've heard there are about 5 factors that kind of go into how your credit score is made up. Can we talk about those?
Yeah, let's talk about those 5 factors. The number one factor, the first factor is payment history, paying on time.
Paying your bills on time?
Paying your bills on time.
Okay.
So your credit card bills on time, anything that's part of a loan. So a credit card is a loan, right? If you're paying your auto loan on time, your mortgage on time, mm-hmm. if you're paying your education loans on time, the key is to pay those on time. That's the number one impactor when it comes to your credit score.
And, as we were talking about in the last podcast, we were saying like, hey, if you have to prioritize what you're spending your money on, pay the big ones first, right? Your mortgage, your rent, and then your auto loan, and then credit card and those things following. So would you, in the same situation 4 weeks later, give the same advice? I would give the same advice. The good news right now is with what's going on currently is a lot of companies have given people they're allowing them not to make a payment. Like a skip-a-pay. A skip-a-pay, so that's not coming up as a late payment. Make sure you're contacting that company though and letting them know you're taking advantage of that. Another thing we've seen is the education loans have put it out to September 30th. You don't have to pay your loans till September 30th, and during that time, you're not going to be penalized for not paying. Mm-hmm. Not only that, they are not accruing any interest on that. So if you can go ahead and make the payment, should you, or should you take advantage of these offers to defer? That depends on where you are financially. If you have enough money in your savings account and you're still gainfully employed like you normally are, I would continue to pay. Not only that, if you can pay a little extra, pay a little extra. It really depends on where you are financially right now. Okay. Each person's in a different place. Example is we have education loans. We're lucky. We're gainfully employed. So we're going to continue to pay on our education loan because we're going to be paying down principal with no interest. Oh, so that it's even if you're still paying, it's going to benefit you in that way. Correct. Yeah, correct. Makes sense. So what happens with that paying on time is in normal times, if you don't pay your creditor on time, after 30 days, they report you late. Mm-hmm. And when you're late, that makes your credit score come down. Also, 60-day lates, 90-day lates, and eventually what happens is if you get sent to collections, that really pulls your score down and sort of holds it down. So this might be a time where if you have some collection items and you're able to sit down and line them up and pay them off a little at a time, now's probably a good time if you have that extra money to actually call them and pay these off and get them off your credit score. Mm-hmm. Like if you got a stimulus check? If you have a stimulus check, that's there you right. Go. Okay, so 35% is made of your credit score. It makes up payment history, but another 30% comes from the amount that you owe to your creditors. Correct. And where this really matters is in when it comes to credit cards. Think back when you received your first credit card. Do you remember when you received your first credit card? Yeah, it was when I was in college. Yeah, mine too. They get you as soon as you walk out the bursar's office. Yeah, we both went to Ball State. Did you get that free T-shirt or a free piece of keys or something for that credit card, right? David Letterman T-shirt. There you go, yeah. Exactly. So here we were, 18, 19 years old, and received
a credit card
Yeah.
with really no direction, right?
Well, other than, I kind of was told by my parents, like, you should use it once in a while so that you can start to build your credit history, but didn't know how much to use it. So, of course, what did I do? I maxed it out.
Oh, you didn't listen to the parents, right?
They gave me $1,000 bucks. I'm going to put $1,000 on
Right.
it.
So she had financially savvy parents, and they actually had the conversation, and you still didn't listen, which, believe it or not, is what most of us did as students, right?
Right.
We're in college, and we're adults now. We're going to do things our way. Well, here's what's wrong, and you actually said you had a line of credit of $1,000, and you went out and maxed out that card. So you didn't use up a portion of that. You used up 100% of that
Of the credit they had given me. Yeah.
And as soon as here you are creating this credit score, and as soon as you did that, the credit score you're creating starts coming down because you've maxed it out.
Oh, yeah.
So
Because I shouldn't have maxed it out.
you shouldn't have maxed it out. Yes, because what happens is that triggers something in the equation, and it actually brings your score down. So when it comes to credit cards and when it comes to lines of credit, you want to keep that usage at 30%. So the most you should have used of that credit card at that time was
$300.
$300. Now, Dusty, you've come a little bit further in life. You're no longer at Ball State. You're the VP of marketing with the credit union, right? You probably have more than one credit card, yes?
Actually, I don't. I actually
Really?
don't, because I kind of learned my lesson with that when I was younger. So I'm very careful about
We're not going to use your actual line of credit on your credit card.
Right.
But for ease here, okay? Let's say your credit card, they give you a line of credit of $10,000. The most you should charge on that is $3,000. Once you go over that $3,000 mark, your score comes down.
Like significantly, or just a little?
It can come down significantly depending how much you go. So if you have $5,000 on that card, so say you're going on a trip and you put everything on the trip and you get up to $7,000 because you want all those points, that's going to bring it down a lot because you're using 70% of that line of credit. Now, what I would tell somebody like you is this: either make your line of credit bigger or get a second card to make the pool bigger.
Okay. So how does it, you're talking about credit cards in particular, but does that also work towards other types of revolving lines of credit, like a home equity loan that you have or anything like that?
Yes, that will have an impact on it as well. Yeah, anything that's revolving.
Should the same principle apply where I'm only using 30% of that, or how does that work outside of
It depends on how
loan?
big your credit pool is. Remember that. How big your credit pool is.
Which means total debt.
Total debt. Total credit.
Okay.
Okay. Example would be, let's say your house is worth $300,000, but you only owe $100,000 on it.
Right.
So you've really got a line of credit of $300,000 on that.
Gotcha.
That's what its value is. So you're only using 33% of that equity in that house.
Okay, so that's where things like debt to income ratios
Debt to income
come
ratios,
in. Okay,
yes.
gotcha.
This is really what we're doing. We're looking at our debt ratios on this for credit.
Yeah.
But a lot of people, nobody tells the kid when they get the first credit card, don't go max it out. And we go do it. And then we get in our 20s and we go, what did I do wrong? Because nobody told me.
Right. And my credit score is not great. Right. Mm-hmm.
So the answer to that is sometimes you need to make sure you're not going over that 30% threshold, or you're getting another line of credit to make that, I call it that credit pool bigger.
Right.
It doesn't mean go use it.
Right. Just
use it a little bit. Use it once a month. Go buy a pack of gum. But then you're using that, okay?
Okay.
Seriously. But what you're noticing here is on determining your credit score, there's 5 factors, right? But what do you notice about that?
Well, gosh, two of those make up 65%.
So over 50% of your score is made up by those 2. So if you can pay on time and you don't max out your credit cards, folks, you're going to keep your score stable or moving upward.
Okay.
So during these times, make sure you're not maxing out your credit card if you don't have to, or you call and ask for a larger line of credit to make that pool bigger, right?
So in a time like this, though, where the economy is not great, are creditors likely to give you a credit extension?
That's going to depend on the history you have with that.
So that's where the third factor comes in, your length of credit history.
Length of credit history, yes.
With maybe overall and then with that particular creditor?
Yeah, exactly. So length of credit history is 15%.
Of your score.
Of your score.
Okay.
So here's the example. That's a good, how you said it was a perfect example. When a 22-year-old comes out of college and gets their first job and they go to buy a car and they try to get the loan, the answer 9 times out of 10 is usually no.
Or you need a cosigner.
You need a cosigner because why? We don't have enough history to determine on whether or not you're going to pay it on time.
Right.
And your answer is, well, I had a credit card and I paid it on time the whole time. But you had a $1,000 credit card.
A little bit different than a $20,000 auto loan.
Correct.
Right.
So that's where this is coming in. So yours and my line of credit is going to be a little bit longer than my daughter Abby, who's 20 years old, right?
Right.
And we've got Courtney sitting over here. Cece's sitting over here. Cece's in her low 20s. She's got a great credit score, but it's still compared to yours and I, because we're old, right?
Hey, one benefit of being old, Courtney. Haha, gotcha.
Unless you haven't done well with your credit score, and then it doesn't matter, right?
I guess you're right.
So 15% of that is the length of credit history. Now, what they'll tell you a lot of times is don't close a line of credit because that shortens your length of credit history. So try not to. For people that are getting their first credit card, a lot of times parents are like, "Hey, I want to get my kid a credit card, and I'm going to put I'm going to put them on my card, or I'm going to be on their card." Remember, eventually you're going to want to get off that card, and when you do that, you're going to have to close that line of credit. So a lot of times I recommend you don't do that.
So get your own.
Have them get their own. Have the conversation with them on how to do it properly. Right?
Cool.
Number 4 is new credit. So this is a good one. I see a lot of people during the holidays that ruin their credit. Why do you think that is?
Because they go out and get every store card for every discount they can.
That's exactly right. Every time you open a line of credit, you apply for a line of credit, your score is going to come down temporarily.
But it's so enticing, Jamie, because they're like, you can save 20% today on this $200 bill.
Right, yeah. Save that, yeah.
I've heard that spiel a time or two.
Yeah, I bet you have. So in essence, if we want our scores to trend upward, we only want to pull our credit twice a year.
At the most.
At most, that's the most, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you can do 3, but your score is going to come down a little bit. It happened to me last year. We went with the new cell phone plan. They pulled our credit.
What? Cell phone plans pull your credit?
Cell phones will pull your credit. Yes, they do.
Oh.
Almost anybody that asks for your social security number when you're purchasing something, that's what they're doing.
Okay.
So if they ask for your social security number, say, "Why do you need my social security number?" It's because they're usually pulling your credit. And we have one more that affects your score.
One more things that determine your credit score. And that's the types of credit used. Now, explain to me what you mean by that.
Well, there's credit's credit, right? But all credit's not the same. So there's 2 types of credit. One is revolving lines of credit, which we all know as
credit cards.
Right. We can use them. We can pay them off. We can use them again. They're open lines of credit. Right. Now we have what is called a closed line of credit, which are installations, which these are where we're paying it down to 0, which would be example would be
like your auto loan or your mortgage.
Your auto loan or your mortgage, right? Or a personal loan.
Right.
You get an amount and you pay it down to 0. So what they're looking for in your score is they're looking to make sure you have a nice mix there. Okay.
Oh, really? They care.
They care.
All
yeah.
right.
Well, it's only 10% of your score, though. Remember that.
Okay.
But here's the thing. If you've got 10 credit cards and you have no installment loans, that's going to hurt you.
Because that's an indicator that
you're overextended. You're overextended.
Okay.
Because you're not. Most of us aren't using all 10 of those credit cards, but could we use those 10 credit cards if we needed to? Especially in crunch time right now. Maybe that's what we're doing.
Right.
And that's going to bring it down. So make sure you're having that. Seeing the daughter's credit score. Abby's credit score is, it was nice in the 7s. It's down in the 6s right now. And the reason is because she's applied for education loans.
Yeah.
Right. And her education loans are, her amount of debt she has because of that. It's actually had a negative impact on her score.
So, I mean, for you young people, so student loans do affect your credit score.
They are going to affect your credit.
And those are big chunks of loans you're taking out all at one time.
Right. That's that pool of credit, right? And you're using it all. So it's very important.
So, wow, that's really interesting. So let's say I'm a college student who doesn't have a job because I'm a college student, right? And now I have $100,000 in debt. I mean, what is my credit score then?
Well, here's the horrible thing. We don't know exactly what it is just by talking, because FICO, who creates the score, sort of has a secret sauce, and we don't know exactly what it would be. But
would college students have a credit score?
Yeah, they're going to have a credit score when they come out. Yeah, and it's going to be hard. And that's where they see a lot of that challenge. Here you are, 22, 23, coming without $100,000 in credit or $100,000 in debt, and now you're trying to get your life moving. You're trying to get your first car.
Sure.
And you
got a job, but you got $100,000. Yeah. Wow.
Right. So it's a big deal. So the answer here is, keep your revolving lines of credit to minimal.
Okay.
And you've got your installment loan, so get that installment loan. So an installment loan is your education loan. What I recommend, what I'm having my daughter do is I'm having her pay $25 a month towards her installment loan.
Just to show payment history.
Yeah, payment history, right. And paying on time every month.
Knowing that that's the number one driver of credit score. That's smart.
We're going to recap here. So remember, if you can do pay on time and you can keep your amount owed below that 30%, that's 65% of your score. If you can take care of those 2 things right there, your score is going to trend upward. And the other 3, don't go out and get new credit.
Right.
Length of credit history is just going to get better with time. And remember, you don't need a new credit card for everything you buy. Not a lot of revolving lines of credit. Keep that intact there.
So can I ask one more question about revolving credit? Sure. So let's say that you're one of those people who loves the points, and you are, so you're putting everything that you would normally maybe debit onto a credit card every month, and you're paying it off every month. How does that impact your credit score, or does it?
It will impact your score But the people that do that and take advantage of that usually have more than one line of credit. Mm-hmm. Okay. So what I'm telling you is if you just got your first credit card and it's a points-based credit card and your line of credit is $1,000, do not max it out because you're having more of a negative impact.
Even if you're paying it off every month.
Even if you're paying it off every month.
Okay. So still stay to that 30%.
Sure, still stay at that 30%. There were a lot of people that used to think the misnomer was that if I get a credit card and I max it out and pay it off right away, it would help my score. But it doesn't do that.
Okay. Good to know.
What I would recommend to young people is you go out and get a credit card. You know, maybe you go to one of the stores and you spend $150, $200, right? The bill comes in, pay off 80% of it. So you carry a little bit of a balance because it shows you can carry a balance. And when that balance comes in, pay it off and repeat because that's what they're wanting to see. They're wanting to see that you won't max out your card. They're wanting to see you're going to pay on time. They're wanting to see that you can carry a balance and then pay on time again.
These are like secret tips, people. Like going to keep you like in your best credit score ever. All right. So we've talked about the things that make up your credit score and also why your credit's important to you. So one other thing I wanted to mention, and we've talked about this at the credit union and the FBI has put out several notices about it, but with the stimulus checks that are going out and with the coronavirus situations, there seems to be more fraud attempts happening. The scammers and the calls and that kind of thing. How can we be more vigilant about fraud attempts?
Well, here's what I can tell you. The convicts aren't out there taking a quarantine break. They're out there working overtime right now.
Right.
So you need to be diligent. You need to be observant, know what's going on with your credit score, know what's going on with your report. I'd recommend everybody pulls their credit report. Go to annualcreditreport.com. Pull that. Print it off. It's going to ask you which one you want to print. You can pull all three, which is Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion.
Okay.
Compare and contrast. If there's something on there that doesn't look like it's yours, address the situation through a dispute and
exactly with that particular creditor, right?
With that particular creditor.
Okay.
So right now is a good time to make sure everything that's on your report is on your report. If you're sitting home bored, right now is a great time to look at your finances.
You got nothing else to do, people.
Right,
check your credit report.
If you're like many of us that are going, oh my God, in the house another day. I don't even know what day it is. Get your finances in order. Shoot us an email and we'll help you get your finances.
That's a really good point. If you've been putting off that budgeting exercise with your family, hey, you got nothing else to do but look at each other.
Now's the time to do it, right? Yeah, go to wherever you do that and take time and do that. And because right now for fraud, you're going to see fraud go higher right now because we're things are totally different right now. True story. My son's Roblox account got hacked yesterday. It was the end of the world. His Roblox. He couldn't play Roblox all day yesterday. So
girls. I don't even know
they're
what that
hacking
means.
Roblox. Trust me, if they're hacking,
is that like an online game?
Yeah, it's a video game.
Gotcha.
Yeah. If they're hacking Roblox accounts, other people are probably trying to get in your credit card accounts and all those sorts of things because it's a different time and people are applying for different things right now and staffs are cut down to skeleton crews, so to speak, not your typical work group, because everybody's working from home.
Yeah.
So I'd make sure you're taking care of those things and looking and make sure everything is yours. And when this is over, go back and look again and make sure everything on your credit report is yours. If you've never had an American Express card, but you have one on your report, somebody stole your identity. You got to take care of it now.
Yeah. Well, through all of this, and, for all of our listeners out there, we really appreciate the fact that you're listening and that you're taking some of our advice to heart. But, we're telling everybody, just, hang in there. We're all in this together. It all sucks. But you just got to do the best you can and know that at some point it's going to get back to some sort of normal, right?
That's right. I told Finn that the other day. Finn's like, normal? It's never going to be normal again. I'm like, yes, it will, buddy. Yes, it will.
We hope so.
Yes. Well, remember after 9/11, we never thought it'd get back to normal.
Yeah.
After 2008, this is a different type of an emergency, but it will. After Pearl Harbor, nobody thought it'd get back to normal. It does.
Yeah.
It will. It'll be a different normal, but we're going to get back to it.
Right.
Right? So thanks for listening, guys.
Yeah. Take care of yourself. Carpe Dime is presented by Financial Center First Credit Union and produced by Jamie Davidson, Dusty Simmons, and Courtney Cooper. Financial Center is a 6-time national award winner in the category of adult financial literacy, and our goal is to help you improve your financial life. To learn more, visit fcfcu.com. And if you need specific assistance related to COVID, please visit fcfcu.com/COVID-19. Like what you hear? Subscribe from Google, iTunes, SoundCloud, and Spotify.